For your halftime entertainment, we celebrate the 43-year reign of the speed metal kings, Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
Post-game reaction time, Auburn versus Alabama, the Iron Bowl of basketball, the Iron Ball, whatever you want to call it. The Tide is victorious in Neville Arena. We're going to talk about it, the score, the stats, storylines, all that's coming up right now. War Eagle, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, we discuss, we share the Auburn experience, all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it might be, though, is if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing this evening, breaking down another Auburn men's basketball game as part of their 2025-26 season, Auburn versus Alabama. As I said, you can call it the Iron Bowl of basketball. You can call it the Iron Ball as I do. Whatever you call it, it's still the greatest rivalry in college sports, and it's a whole lot of dang fun. Obviously not fun for the Auburn Tigers today with the loss here, 92-96. Alabama overcomes an Auburn lead that they had for the majority of the game and was able to get a win in Neville Arena. And obviously, we want to talk about it. We want to discuss with you what brought us to this point, the score, the stats, the storyline, that final score, 96-92, Alabama wins. Before we do that, would love for you to come on in here and spend some time with us. If you're watching live, let us know if you're watching live with a hello, where you're checking in from. We want to hear from you. And obviously, hang out with us on the live portion. Thank you guys that listen to the post-game recording and all this, who weren't able to be here live as well. We appreciate that very much. We always want to start off every show with quick thoughts, but as I'm kind of giving mine, I want you to, if there's a player for Auburn tonight, this is, I know we're getting a ton of Bama folks, as typically is the case, but couldn't find them anywhere to be found, find them anywhere if the shoe was on the other foot. I would like to know from you the Auburn perspective, the player that you thought maybe made the biggest difference, or something that deserves a shout out in a certain way. I think there's a player at the end there that a lot of you have given a lot of crap to that you need to be thanking, because he gave you a shot at the end of the game because he's a smart basketball player. We'll talk about that. He's not someone that people talk about enough, but certainly drop that in there. All right. Obviously, big game implications, all that kind of stuff. It was another game positioned in the SEC where they're pretty similar in records. Alabama came in with a slightly better SEC record overall, I believe, and definitely better now. So we're still here kind of positioning for things right now. And so Alabama moves a little bit ahead in that category. You knew what Alabama was going to do, shoot the ball really well from three. And certainly they did that again tonight as the game progressively went on that way. And listen, it's nothing more annoying than watching Aiden Holloway get a 4-point play. It's also fun to watch him still make some of the bad mistakes that he typically did when he was here as well. Wide open layup misses and things like that. Yeah, we're going to be a little toxic here too. But certainly a great play by him, despite all of that. Now, we'll jump in. We can certainly talk about the Charles Bediako thing. I think the point's been made about that. It's a ridiculous thing that's happening there. I'm also going to talk about the side of the thing of, if there's a rule that you can exploit, which is what's being done here, why wouldn't you? I mean, so we can make fun of them, but also talk about, hey, listen, if the shoe was on the other foot, you probably would feel about it differently. So that's really not a narrative at this point in the game that's any value. Just wanted to acknowledge it, though, to start off with, because I know that's going to be something that is talked about. I see a lot of as I said, a lot of our Alabama fans that we're here, they're good folks. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. But it's funny, we can't find them anywhere except when Alabama wins. Love you guys. Anyway, so we're going to jump into the stats and talk about the stories amongst all of that. We start with individual stuff. We go with the team stats after that point. So if there's a player certainly that you want to talk about, oh yeah, and Dick Vitale tonight being at the game was pretty cool. Shows you that this game has risen up in its profile, although he couldn't stop talking about the USC Duke game. I mean, come on, dude. You're literally sitting here. Let's stop talking about it for just a second. If you wanted to be at that game, go to that game. That's all I'm going to say on that. But I did enjoy having him there. Herb and Raj, I'm giving you guys just some crap because y'all are the good ones, and Micah as well, because Micah's one of the good ones as well. That's what we do here, though. We just give the Bama fans crap when they decide to show up. All right, the individual stats. Let's talk about it tonight. Your leading scorer for Auburn tonight, in a shocker of sorts, because not only did he change his hairstyle, he also did a headband tonight, and that is one Tahad Pettiford, leading the way at home. Stop me if you've heard this before. Well, you wouldn't stop me because you haven't heard this really. Really weird to see what's been the trend all year. Tahad Pettiford struggling / just being, average in terms of his scoring at home, be the leading scorer tonight. And it's not that anybody else didn't have a great game. Others had great games individually as well, but 25 points tonight for Tahad Pettiford, 9 for 16, 3 for 8 from the field, makes all his free throws, 3 rebounds, 7 assists. He leads again, 3 personal fouls, 2 turnovers, 34 minutes to play. So Tahad Pettiford, if you were going to give out a player of the game, probably, that is a lot of words there, probably deserves your player of the game for Auburn, in considering the context of how much he has struggled at home offensively. Not the case tonight, and a big reason why Auburn even had a shot in this game. Let's keep going through it. We've got our usual scorer who does foul out tonight, Keyshawn Hall, with 24 points. He is 8 for 22 on the day, so I don't have his percentage on that, but it is a lot of attempts, and 24 points. Wish he had come away with just a little bit more than that. He only makes one of his threes, 7 of 9 from his free throws, 3 rebounds tonight. He does foul, as I said, in 34 minutes of play. When you saw him go out at the end of the game there too, I was like, well, that's the guy you go to hopefully take the win for you here at the end and take that shot. But unfortunately, he wasn't going to factor in that, so it was going to come down to one of the other guys this evening. So Tahad Pettiford, Keyshawn Hall, a lot of what everybody was going to hope to be that dynamic duo of scoring. You got that tonight. So what I would like to point out, folks that have criticized Tahad Pettiford and said that's the thing that's missing, that's the thing that's I've seen that this week, that's the team that's holding us back. I've seen cryptic tweets like, can we all just acknowledge who the problem on this team is? Well, you got that from him tonight and then some. Not only is he doing what he's supposed to do defensively most of the time, what he's doing as an assist, as a developer of plays, as a setting others people up, and a scorer tonight, and you still lost. Now, credit goes to the other team, Alabama, for some things that they did, but let's just remember that just a little bit. Let's just remember that it's not as simple as sometimes we make it about a certain player. So congrats to Todd tonight for leading the way. Keyshawn Hall does what he does. Kevin Overton, my man. I mean, my only complaint on the game is his flagrant one that he had, which was, and he even acknowledged was kind of stupid to do, but he's still a leader out there in the court. 17 points on the night, 5 for 10, 4 for 7 from the 3-point arc. Can we all just stay right here, right now? Maybe people will disagree. I don't know. I think Kevin Overton is your most reliable 3-point shooter. I know that's not saying a whole lot. I know. I understand that. But it's, that people are frustrated with the 3-point shooting overall. But certainly Kevin Overton, I think as of late, has been your most reliable 3-point shooter. At least that's how I feel about the situation. 5 for 10 on the day for him, 4 for 7 from the 3-point arc, 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, no turnovers for him. Kevin Overton may not have been the leading scorer tonight, but he probably, if he doesn't have that flagrant one foul, has the most complete game or efficient game tonight. In fact, let me just take a little quick peek over here at our plus minuses. The only one in a plus minus on Auburn's side this evening was Sebastian Williams Adams. So I was curious if he was, if there was a better situation for him statistically, even on looking at that particular thing, but it wasn't. So let me jump back over here. So yeah, that's your third leading scorer. Your fourth leading scorer, Keyshawn Murphy, does it all, even as your big man, 13 points, 6 for 10 from the field, makes 1 of his 2 3-pointers he shot. He didn't attempt any free throws tonight. 12 rebounds, a double-double for him with 2 assists as well. Very solid night for Keyshawn Murphy. So Sebastian Williams-Adams as the round out of your starters, 6 points. He kind of has this typical game that he's having as of late, just in the mid single digits of scoring, providing some rebounding help, doing a little bit of everything, especially defensively. His versatility is outstanding. I really love how versatile he is as a big man and athletic. And maybe just want a little bit more, a few more points for him as of late, but he doesn't do that tonight. But overall, Sebastian Williams-Adams, again, as your starting lineup, is still providing a lot of good things there. So that's your starting lineup, your scorers right there. You don't have a lot to be disappointed with, offensively at least, from your starters tonight. I think everybody did what people expected them at the start of the season to do, and then some. You expected Tahad to be the facilitator, but also the scorer. He was tonight. You expected Keyshawn Murphy to be one of the scorers as well. People were hoping Kevin Overton was going to provide that leadership, was going to provide that scoring, supplement as well. He did that tonight. Keyshawn Murphy, you were hoping to get a double-double out of him, every night, even if it's low teens for scoring. And you're wanting contributions from that fifth guy. You got all of that tonight. Where it's maybe a little bit lacking, if that's the route you want to go in explaining all this, maybe from your bench a little bit. Bench points tonight, 7 points for Auburn. Elijah Freeman with 5. He fouls out. And then Philip Jovic with only 2. So that's all of your scoring this evening. Blake Musalik doesn't get any points, but I'll give him a shout out in just a second. This team stats are what's going to explain some of this for us, but this is a game where I think Auburn should have won. I think they dropped the ball in this one just by walking through the individual stats so far at this game. And as I said, nobody in the plus-minus column on the plus side except for Sebastian Williams-Adams, and Blake Musalik was a 0, just dead even on that one. Speaking of Blake, I want to give the man a shout out because a lot of you have not given the man his due. I understand that he's a former walk-on. I understand other conversation pieces about Blake that people may have a little fun with and all that kind of stuff. But the dismissive nature of people like, why is he on the floor? You just learned why he was on the floor. Auburn's not in a position, really. They're in this really bad situation where they're having to exchange fouls and free throws and hoping you can maybe knock down a 3. You have to create other opportunities, and that's what Blake Musalik does. Not only did he draw a foul on Charles Bediako earlier, but he also gave you a foul situation, and he sold it, right? But that's what he's there to do. Draw fouls, frustrate people. Blake Musalik is a lot better than a lot of y'all give him credit for. He's a very smart basketball player. So I want to give him the shout out tonight, at least in the individual sense. And I hope some of you are starting to realize that a little bit more throughout the season as we go through it. Certainly he's not going to be a scorer. Certainly he's not going to be a guy that plays a ton of minutes. He's a lot better than a lot of you give him credit for. So shout out for him tonight. There's your individual stats. You looked at the individual stats, you would have thought Auburn would have won this game tonight. But you also have to look over at theirs. We're an Auburn show, so we're focusing on that. LeBaron Philon had a great game. Aiden Holloway came on strong at the end, but, still doing some typical Aiden Holloway things. Allen for them did well. Bediako off of the bench came in and provided a little bit of a spark for them, whether or not he should have legitimately. Stir that up one more time. Let's talk about team stats to round out tonight. We always talk about the big 3 here because, in my opinion, if you can win the big 3, you put yourself in a strong position to win the game. Doesn't guarantee that you'll win the game, but it puts yourself in a very strong position to win that game. Say it with me. Free throws, turnovers, rebounds. Let's take a look at it. Free throws tonight, Alabama wins. And people are probably going to point to this and say, this may have been the difference in the game. And with a 4-point differential, you'd say, yeah. They have 87% to Auburn's 77%. They ended up shooting 1 more free throw. So they were a lot more efficient with about the same amount. You could make a case that that's the difference in the game. Auburn did not shoot terribly from the free throw line, although they, Keyshawn Hall makes 2 of his, which he typically does. You don't know how that happens. Shout out for Neil here talking about Alabama being excellent from their free throws. They knew how to go get them and make them when they came up to the line. So you got to give them a lot of credit there tonight. So they win that category. Turnovers tonight. And this is where Auburn should have won the game. Not only was it 13 or something. No, I thought it was the points that was 15-0. They had a big advantage in turnovers tonight, regardless of how you shake it out. We had 14 points, 14 turnovers to 5. Auburn should have won the game on that one. So that should have been Auburn right there with that big of a differential in turnovers at their place, and it wasn't the case tonight. Rebounds, 30-35. Auburn wins that one as well. Even though they give up a bunch on the free throws to Alabama tonight, they still shot well enough. The big three stats tell you Auburn should have won. The individual stats told you Auburn should have won. So credit goes to Alabama for what they did to win the game, but also Auburn put themselves in position to win this game. But what's the big question? Why weren't they able to pull this thing out? And I think we're going to figure it out very quickly here with the rest of the team stats. Looking at the shooting. Overall from the field, 54% to Auburn's 46%. It's not terrible at home. It's pretty good at home, but sometimes they've shot better. Alabama shot 50% from the field. Pretty dang good on the road. If you can do that, you're going to put yourself in a position to win the game. If you can do some other things well, you're going to win the game. Alabama did. Throw in their three-point percentage, 52%. 12 of their 23 they made. To Auburn's 32%. 9 of 28. Somebody pointed it out earlier in the chat, and I don't know who to credit it to because I don't have time to go back and look at it. I think that's it right there. We're going to go through the rest, but I think that's the difference in the game is their three-point shooting tonight. Points off of turnovers. Another reason Auburn should have won this game. 6-20. Auburn had a big differential there. We already talked about rebounds. Auburn doubled up in offensive rebounds. Another reason Auburn should have won. Second chance points dead even. Bench points tonight is the big difference for Alabama with Bediako coming off the bench, 28-7. Points in the paint, Auburn wins that. Fast break points, Auburn wins that 3-12. Steals, Auburn's win. Let me back that up. Blocks, Alabama wins. Steals, Auburn wins. Assist, and Alabama wins. By all of those were just slight differences there. So a lot of these team stats, Auburn should have won. A lot of the times you can make a case that it's one or two of the team stats that make the big difference. Above 50% from three-point shooting tonight. That is it. Alabama did what we knew they would. They are who we thought they were and made their shots here in Neville Arena and win back-to-back games in Neville for the first time since the 2011-2012 season, I think is what the stat was on there. Tip of the cap to them. That's all you can say. Frustrating. Very frustrating, but you got to give them credit where credit is due tonight. So wrapping all that up for you tonight, at least in our general conversation of it, your final score, 96-92, Alabama wins. Your big stat, three-point percentage, above 50% for Alabama on the road. Huge for them. And I'll probably give the player of the game to Tahad Pettiford tonight. Your leading scorer, and he hasn't been that as much this season. Only a handful of times, if that, and he does it at home, which is where he's typically not done as well this season. So hats off to him for showing up and showing out when we really had to have him in a big rivalry game. Auburn falls 92-96 to the Alabama Crimson Tide. It always sucks when this happens, but the season continues on. Plenty of season left to go in the SEC and in postseason as well. That's going to be our general thoughts about this. We're going to take some of your commentary. I'll go back and talk about a few of the things maybe I didn't touch on in the middle of this. So stick with us here and maybe drop some more in there. We'll try to touch on a few of those things. Reminders for you. Big reminder here first for you for tomorrow. Most of you know that we do the Auburn Experience, our live podcast, the main thing that we do here. It's important for you to know. Normally at 9 on Sundays, 9 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow, it is at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central to avoid Super Bowl collision. Join us for that. We'd love to see you there. Have some fun with us. We'll talk about this and a plethora of other things. A baseball preview is coming in this one too. We're not going to be able to touch on everything in the amount of time that everything deserves in this one. It happens a lot, and it's been happening a lot lately. But there you go. The Auburn Experience tomorrow, different time, same place, same location on YouTube. 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. We will have another post-game show, another big one, Auburn versus Vanderbilt. This is another one where Auburn can bounce back and right the ship here a little bit after a 2-game losing streak. And we will have Auburn Family Night. Live calls, live chat, all that stuff. 9 Eastern time this Wednesday. Join us. We're looking forward to a great week of live streams and plenty of other content out there for you. All right. The rest of the stuff. This is from Unbeaten Lake. He says, what hurts us the most is we weren't smart. We rushed down the court for a quick score and then lost the transition battle after a miss. Let me come back to transition points, or did we have that one on here? Fast break points. Auburn won 3-12, so that doesn't necessarily match up there, but I think I know what you're talking about or what you're referring to there, Unbeaten Lake. It's been probably one of the Achilles heels of Auburn this year is a few too many attempts at 3 points. Certainly you want to work your way out of that and be able to shoot better from 3-point arc if you're Auburn to match some of these 3-point shooting teams that we're running into like Alabama. But, you know, at some point, maybe you need to go for the higher percentage shots. Something I maybe kind of mentioned at the beginning. I think we need to start giving Filip Jovic some more opportunities to work under the paint. I think he is outstanding of backing people down into the paint and being very efficient. He's very efficient with his offensive numbers, even though they're very limited. But that's the reason for that, because he works very hard for a higher percentage shots, meaning closer to the basket. Logically, right? It goes the further away you go, the more lower percentage of chance of making it because it's more difficult. So I would like to see that a little bit more if that's a thing. Sorry, we got people out here running around and stuff, so I'm trying to keep track of everything here. One of Auburn's biggest issues was getting grabby above the shoulders, I would think. Certainly with the flagrant foul twice. The second one was more of I was shocked they gave a flagrant on that one. That was more of I'm trying to catch myself from hurting him further / catch him. I know to the letter of the law, it's a foul or flagrant foul, but come on, let's use some logic with all of this here. It's a little bit frustrating here. Let's see what else here. Alabama most likely will have to forfeit the wins with Bediako if he's ruled ineligible. I don't think that's going to happen. Let's see what else in the chat. No, let's be nice to Dick Vitale. He has been a little bit from Herb and Raj earlier. Are you in the witness protection? Nah, this is this is our road show. When I'm in Auburn this weekend, not at the game, but doing some other things here. All right. Yeah. A lot of commentary about Charles Bediako. I get it. And certainly there's that. Yeah. And listen, Paul, man, I hear you on that, but we're doing a basketball show and comments like that are just kind of, they don't make you look good. So, and I'm very real with people here when we see that. We're excited about Auburn baseball too, man, but we're talking about basketball here, and it's kind of disrespectful to the team when that kind of stuff comes through in our chat. So let's not do that. Uber Mobile. Mike, I don't know if you were around when I used to do these for the first time on the road, and there was an actual Uber incident. Ask some of the other guys about it sometime, or maybe we can talk about it on Auburn Family Night. Let's see. WT says, I agree about Jovic. He is better when he operates in the paint. And I think he understands that too. But I wish that we would find more opportunities for him to do that. He is not going to be your double-digit scorer every night. Now, he had a great one a while back. But I really wonder, especially while we are still not hitting our 3-pointers the way we'd like to be, we've got to start focusing on some of these higher percentage shots a little bit more and giving some others opportunities like Filip Jovic, I think. That would be my amateur opinion out of all of that. So yeah, I think that's an area. Look, you cut this thing down to the 3-point shooting percentage, comparing the two for Auburn and Alabama, and maybe Auburn's, as I think Unbeaten Lake said earlier in the game, the lack of wisdom with certain shots and how quickly we were, trying to make things happen a little bit too soon. And I want to once again give a big shout to Blake Misalik with his very theatrical but wise attempt to draw a foul to give Auburn that extra opportunity, because if they make that 3-pointer, which the shooter was Tahad, if he nails that, it's a 1-point game. You foul, you go to the free throws. They probably make them the way they're shooting tonight. And Auburn's got a last chance shot again. Now, that does bring to remembering now that final stat you saw there towards the end of the game, that Auburn is now 0-4 in single-digit games. That's probably your main knock on this team, is that they haven't been able to close out some of these single-digit deficit games that they have been in, and it's frustrating that you had the lead for that long as well. WT likes Jovic's defense in the paint more than his scoring. I agree, but I do think we need to find a way to give him a few more opportunities and encourage him to do so, because when Steven earlier in the year looked at Jovic when we were having a very rough game and said, I need you to go and score, and he said, okay, coach, and did it. I think we need that a little bit. Tell Steven or whoever needs to tell him, go score and get some more opportunities. We need more than 2 points from Filip Jovic, and he's more than capable of that. He's a very efficient, very good at backing down into the basket. Kyle, I know you said be easy on Vittel, but he just seemed like, I agree. He did want to be a different. I get what he was trying to do there. He's trying to be a company man, but it's the common thing here. Look, we're the greatest rivalry in sports. You should be happy with where you're at. And I'm very honored that Dick Vittel would come to this game too. Should be 3-1 in single digit games because of that Texas A&M. Yeah, well, ifs and buts for candies and nuts. We'd all have a Merry Christmas, right? All right, folks, there you are. There you have it. Final score, 96-92. Alabama wins in Neville Arena. And the Tigers are on a 2-game losing streak at this point. Season's not over. If you're panicking, you're just not being smart. And we're not going to even dismiss this team. There's still plenty of basketball to go, and this is still a good basketball team that is worthy of your support. We'll continue to see how they adjust. They have a big opportunity coming up later in this week to talk about this as well. Here, we'll just let that go. I'm just going to let that one go on by because that's just stupid. With that being said, thank you so much for being part of our little family within the Auburn family and participating with us on our post-game reaction show. Final score, 96-92. Thank you guys for being here. As we go, I ask you to remember the Auburn Creed asks you to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. We're going to ask you to do the same thing.